Good morning. It's my pleasure and honor to be the moderator for this morning section to kick off this symposium. So the first speaker, I don't think she is a stranger to most of you, Dr. Yi Ping Lin. She's a associate professor of Institute of Science, Technology, and Society in陽明University, which is not too far from here, for the kids who don't know. Her research involving in environmental health, epidemiology, and social science. She's particularly interested in using some cases that happened in Taiwan to highlight the interaction of those three components. So let's welcome Dr. Lin.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to give you a brief history of three very important case studies in Taiwan. The three case studies including Blackfoot disease, radiation-contaminated buildings, and electronic company in Taiwan, Radio Corporation of America. They have arsenic, radiation, and organic solvents. The first case, I think it's very famous, is the Blackfoot disease, and I believe there are many experts here in this room that they're doing research on arsenic. The first case report, the case started in the Japanese colonial period as an endemic peripheral vascular disease. It was first reported in 1920, and then it was reported as spontaneous gangrene in Journal of Formosa Medicine in 1954. And a group of scholars from National Taiwan University started epidemiological investigation in the 60s. And so they published early studies of the clinical, they have clinical studies, they have prevalence and incidence, and they have tested the water, and finally they linked the disease with the drinking water. So the investigation team found out that there were two different kinds of well in this area. The old well, it was the shallow kind. The water was salty. So the local residents has new technology to drill deep wells. The deep well is the square ones. And they have water from deep water. And they found out that this is the prevalence of Blackfoot disease in the 4 townships in southern Taiwan. And this is the prevalence of Blackfoot disease of this 4 townships. This is the prevalence of residents who only use deep well water. And this is the township, the residents who use the combination of deep well water and shallow well water. And this is the prevalence of people who use only shallow well water. So there were a big project in improving the drinking water in the for the local residents. In the 1960s, it was supported by international grants by JCRR and UNICEF. And from 1974, in the 70s, the water was greatly improved by Taiwanese government. And the distribution of Blackfoot disease are basically in the township, in the 4 townships in southern Taiwan. However, the researcher also find out that other than Blackfoot disease, the local residents had high prevalence of skin cancers. So the skin cancer was reported in 1968. And then Professor Chen Jianren, who has a further study on the correlation study on the study of arsenic and cancer epidemiology. And there are, this is the SMR of internal cancers in the Blackfoot disease endemic area. This is bladder cancer, male and female, stomach cancer, skin cancer, lung cancer, liver cancer, and colon cancer. And they also have very good dose response of drinking water and these cancers. As we can see, the purple one is residents who use deep well water, and the blue one is the residents who use the combination of deep well water and shallow well water. And the white one is the residents who use only shallow well water. So they have very, very good dose response between drinking water and cancers. So the arsenic compounds was classified as group 1 carcinogen by IARC in 1987. And Taiwanese study in the past 50 years has become very important scientific evidence for WHO and US EPA in regulating arsenic in drinking water. So I believe this is a very successful story of research and policy. The second study is about the radiation contaminated buildings. And the story started with a new X-ray machine in a dental clinic in Taipei. It was in 1985. The Atomic Energy Council went into this dental clinic to test the radiation of this new machine. However, they found out that there were high level of radiation even before the X-ray machine was plugged in. So they tested the wall and find out that actually the wall was contaminated, the steel within the wall was contaminated with radiation. However, AEC, they have a full report of this case, but they did not reveal it to the general public. They covered this report up for years. It was not until 1992 one of the employee at AEC, he leaked this information to a news reporter. And the reporter who borrowed a Geiger counter, who drove within Taipei, hunting for these radiated buildings. And then, suddenly, bingo, it was, he went into a building and the Geiger counter still could be. And the contamination was all over the place in this building. It was in the hallway near the elevator. It was in the residents' bathroom near their toilet, their bathtub. It was in their living room, in their dining room. So the residents get very angry and they organized to have a big environmental movement since 1992. And one of the residents, he organized the people, and he also published books on how he found out and how the AEC was covering up all this information. And there were research of this resident of their exposure assessment and epidemiological study. It was supported by Department of Health and with the help of NGO, and the leading principal investigator is Professor Zhang Wuxiu. And he first reported this weird case in Lancet in '93, and then he published his study on cytogenetic effect of this chronic low-dose rate gamma radiation in residents of this irradiated buildings. So in his study, this is the background radioactivity. And in fact, the exposed group he has collected 73, and they have control group. He calculated the cumulative dose, and he conducted micronucleus assay of the residents and their control. So this scientific evidence becomes very important evidence when the residents brought this case to court. The residents, they won their first trial in '97, and then the second trial in 2002. So AEC, they did not appeal. They apologized in public and paid for the compensation in the year 2002. I thought it was just a wonderful story of public health research with social movements and with lawyers in bringing this to court. However, just very recently, a friend of mine, in this verdict, the judges applied epidemiologic causation theory. It was first applied in the Japanese lawsuit, Minamata disease, in the 70s. So in the verdict of the radiation case, the judges in Taiwan applied this new theory. And I thought it was a successful story until very recently, a friend of mine sent me an article from New York Times. It was an article on Fukushima case, and they say that radiation isn't the real risk. This is the fear and the taboo of this radiation, the nonsense. And they were citing in this news report, they were citing Taiwanese studies. They say a study in 2006 found fewer cancer cases compared with general public, 95 within when 150 was expected. So I was wondering what this new study, I did not follow the study of this case. So I look at the original paper, and this is what I found. This is from the title. It says we need new approach needed in radiation protection. And this is their study result. This is a different group of scholars. They are from National Young University and some from National Taiwan University too. And this is the general population of mortality. And this is people who live in this irradiated buildings. You can see that the mortality has decreased within years. So they suggested in their conclusion that the medical evidence from this exposure clearly suggests that current radiation protection policy and standards are inappropriate. We therefore recommend that Radiation Protection Authority change them to accurately reflect the actual benefits and hazard of exposure to radiation. I think they suggest that they should change the level, and for your good health, I think we should all put some radiation in our buildings and maybe in our food too. So I was wondering what this new research is all about. So this will be the new assignment for my students. I'm teaching classes about the case study in Taiwan, and I think it will be very interesting to look at their material, their research method, and where the grant is from. So this is the case of the radiation buildings. And the third case is the RCA case, and it's about organic solvents. This is a lawsuit we recently won about half a year ago. And this is a case of former workers suing RCA, GE, and Technicolor. So RCA Taiwan is an electronic company. It was in operation in Taiwan from 67 to 92. And RCA was taken over by GE in 86 and then by Thomson in 88, the French company. Then Thomson changed its name to Technicolor in 2010. So in this, between the business transaction of GE and Thomson, when RCA Taiwan was still in operation, both GE and Thomson hire environmental engineering company to do a field investigation of this site. And in this report, they found out that the groundwater of this factory was heavily contaminated. However, GE and Thomson and all these three environmental engineering companies, they did not inform the workers, they did not inform Taiwanese government. They went to Singapore and had a secret meeting. As we can see, this is signed by GE and also by Thomson. And they hide this report and decided to shut down the factory and sell the land. We did not, the three reports was in Taiwan EPA's storage room for years until during the lawsuit, our lawyers found it again. So as we can see that in this three report, it was investigated in 1990. There were 3 different wells in this factory. Well number 1, it was a broken one, it cannot, it's damaged. And well number 3, they have high level of TCE, PCA, and PCE. And this is well number 5. Well number 5 also has TCE, PCA, and PCE contamination. And also, they drill a lot of monitoring wells to test the groundwater in this site. As we can see, all these monitoring wells are heavily contaminated with organic solvents, especially in the factory's backyard. Monitoring well 107 has very high level of PCA, PCE, and PCE. So before they shut down the factory and sell the land, they fill the wells and cover up all these monitoring wells. We found all this, the judges was wondering where these wells were. And we found a picture that in 1996, when Taiwan EPA went into the site, the only thing they can find is the cement-filled well number 3. And well number 5 is disappeared forever. Nobody can find it anymore. And this is the monitoring wells. They were all covered by asphalt. So the news was the pollution, the DIS3 report was leaked to the senator in Taiwan by a Taiwanese executive in RCA in the year 1994. The 2 years after the factory was shut down and was reported. So the GE and Thompson, they admitted that they contaminated the groundwater. They paid for the cleanup job. So they spent millions of dollars trying to clean up PCE and PCE in the groundwater. And they also hired an American epidemiologist, Otto Wong, and he conducted a health risk assessment. In his conclusion, he said the health effects of PCE and PCE contaminated groundwater to the local residents and former workers are just neglectable. And unfortunately, the groundwater, the cleanup proved to be a big failure. And so it was reported in the news that the land can never be cleaned again. And there were cases of cancers of former workers and some of the local residents. They have cancer, and they start wondering if their diseases were correlated with the contaminated groundwater. So they organized, the former RCA employees, they organized, they have a mutual aid association. And with the help of labor movement NGOs, they trying to bring this case to court. And also at the same time in 1998, a group of researchers right here at National Taiwan University, we stepped into the deserted RCA site. And with the support from Taiwan EPA, we have studies on toxicology on ICR mice. And in this study, they find out that both male and female mice have cancers. And they also conducted a health risk assessment. And as contrary to the Otto Wang's risk assessment, we find out that it was dangerous. The groundwater is carcinogenic. And also, Professor Wang's, all these studies were led by Professor J.D. Wang. And he conducted MOR studies and found out that male liver cancers in the contaminated community was higher than the upstream community. However, the occupational health study was supported and conducted by Council of Labor Affairs. In their first study, with a PPMR study, they compare RCA workers with another electronic company and textile company. And they found out that female workers have higher prevalence of breast cancer. However, on the further SMR study and SIR study, they find out that some of the cancer was higher, but none of them were statistically significant. So we have one study in support of the employee and 2 studies that were non-significant. And there were further studies supported by Department of Health and also conducted by scholars here at National Taiwan University. The first study, with longer study period, they found out that in SIR they have higher female workers have higher breast cancers, and also by our symposium organizer, Professor Bao Dong Chen, PC Chen. They also find out that for female electronic workers, their children have higher risk of leukemia, have higher risk of cancer. And for male workers, for their children had higher infant mortality and death due to congenital malformations. So we have 9 studies, 9 papers doing on this RCA case. So the court section was a very long period, for more than 10 years, and they're looking for compensation of mental stress. There were more than 500 members in this association. This is the first class action lawsuit here in Taiwan. The group A is family members of the dead. Group B is people with cancers and other diseases. And group C is people who are currently healthy. And during the 10 years, we have 8 witnesses and 6 experts appear at court. Their specialties include environmental engineers, epidemiology, toxicology, industrial hygiene, and occupational medicine. And within the 10 years, we even have change of judges. We have 4 different groups of judges, and in total we have 58 court hearings. So we finally have our first witness testify. She is a worker with NPC, who testified at court in 2009. But they were very difficult because the plaintiff has the burden of proof. However, in this lawsuit, it's very difficult to collect data. So we have a group meeting called RCA Consultants. It's a group of plaintiffs, activists, lawyers, and many scholars from public health, from social studies. And also, we have to thank for many of our students, our graduate students, our medical students. They volunteer to do a lot of tests that was signed by the court. So as I can see that some of my volunteer students are here in this conference too. One of the most difficult part is to collect information, because RCA claimed that all their documents were burned. After their factory was closed in 1992, they put all their documents in a storage room. So they testified at court that their storage room was on fire. So we cannot get anything from the company. So when we look for the information from the government, unfortunately, before all the data was computerized, many of them were flooded by all the typhoons in the summer, especially labor insurance or mortality data, mobility data before 1985. So it's very difficult to collect information. So we have to play detective in this case. And we find out from a pile of OMAD from this, it was when we visited the site, there were an old pile of documents. We brought it to the law firm. And with the help of an architect, we found out that actually the factory has connected the well water with tap water. So there is a switch. And they have a witness, a former manager who testified at court. He said, but we use only tap water for the employees to drink. And they pay their water bills recently, regularly. So this is their water bill from 86 to 1990. However, when we look very closely at this water bill, we found out that their secretary has some mark on this water bill. This is water bill of dorm. This is water bill of calf. This is water bill of plant. And this is storm, plant, cafeteria. So we have the water number and the degree of water they use within the 4 years. So I asked my research assistant to chart it in Excel. This is what it looked like. It fluctuates dramatically. You know, the difference could be 4,000 tons per month. So we bring this evidence to court to challenge the witness from the defendant. And their managers say that, oh, that's because in the summertime they use more water. So we have to prove it at court. So no, it's not the summer, it was February, and it was March. That was the peak of the water usage. And then he said they have cooking contests in their factory during their operation. So we have to, the lawyers have to bring to the court many of the evidence and during the long session in court. And there was the water. And for the air, we have a record of ventilation violation when RCA was in operation between 70 and 92. They had violation. And we didn't know why until we found a master's thesis at National Taiwan University. We realized that there was a project conducted in 1988. They sent graduate students to this plant, and they were measuring the air, the indoor air, the workers' in the breathing area. And in this master thesis, we realized that the factory was recirculating the air, the indoor air, to save the air conditioning field, to save their electricity. And they have high concentration of organic solvents, and it was violating the law at that time in 1988. So this became important information, evidence of the air, the exposure of air in this lawsuit. So we have to thank many of the expert witnesses who was willing to appear at court, testify for the plaintiff. So the master student, Gang Hui, who has become a college professor after 23 years, he was the first one to stand on the witness stand. And then it was our conference organizer, Professor P.C. Chen. I think he is currently the record holder of Taiwanese legal history. He has testified at court for seven times, and each for 6 whole hours. So in a total of 42 hours, he has to teach introduction to epidemiology at court to the judge, and explain to the judges that what the epidemiological study is all about. Then we have animal study, we have toxicologist, Professor Wang Zuhui, we have environmental engineer, Professor Ding Lixing, who is one of the very first ones to step into the site. And we also have industrial hygienist, Professor Chen Zhijie, who is also in this building. And our former dean, Professor Davey Wong, who was the last one to summarize all the scientific evidence and on occupational medicine. So we have 6 experts testifying at court. And the defendant, they call an American oncologist, Dr. Stephen Lee, to testify at court. And then a former manager on the water and air. And because the judges think that the expert witness has, from the plaintiff, has provided enough information, so they did not call further evidence from the defendant. But the defendant, they send in written comments on our expert opinion. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 5 documents, long documents, hundreds of pages. They hire American experts to comment on the opinion that we testified at court. So other than all this expert witness, we have some scientific evidence on our side too. It was in the year 2011 and 2012 that US EPA, they published very heavy volume of toxicological review of TCE and PCE. And also for IR in 2012, they upgraded TCE as a group 1 carcinogen. And also during the last session of lawsuit, we found out that in America, they have a new documentary called Semper Fi, Always Faithful. It was about organic solvent contamination of a U.S. Marine camp, Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. And in this camp, they have children with leukemia or male breast cancer. So U.S. CDC started conducting research, just like the RCN research we have done years ago. They were trying to study the combination of PCE, PCE, benzene, and vinyl chloride and their health effects. And also, U.S. President Obama, who signed an act called Janney-Esslinger Act. Janney was the little girl who got leukemia while he was born in this camp. And in 2012, in this act, we can see 15 in this act. They recognized 15 diseases that were correlated with the combination of organic solvents. So with all this information, we have to explain to the judges that we call it the cocktail of organic solvent. There are a total of 31 organic solvents that we can find record that there was in use in this factory. So Professor Chen Baozhong, who made 31 huge tables summarizing information from IR, US EPA, Camp Lejeune, and Taiwanese RCA studies. They include human study, animal studies, and they summarize all the diseases that was correlated. This is a table of PCE, and we have 31 tables like this. We have PCE, we have PCA, and this is only the cancer part, and there were non-cancers too. So there were 31 more non-cancer diseases. So I think this is the important information that the judges used in this verdict. The judges recognized four major organic solvents that the factory was used during its operation, and the judges cited IARC and US EPA and recognized all the disease that Professor Chen summarized in these tables. So this is the case of the RCA, but it's not finished yet. It's to be continued. Next month, the case will move on to the High Court. So we need your comments, your suggestions, and we also need international support of this court, of this lawsuit. This is my presentation, and thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lin's very detailed description of several historical cases. When we lose sight on prevention, this is what happens. It's very costly. It's going to be very prolonged. I don't think the victim will get any reasonable compensation to pay for the loss, not only the life, but also the pleasure of being a healthy human being. So, any questions before we take a break for coffee? Oh, by the way, I have the honor to present a gift to each speaker on behalf of Dr. Chen Baozhong and the Institute. All right, now we can ask questions. Yes, Tony.
Fascinating. For the second story about the radiation, did you explain how that building came to be contaminated? And whether other buildings may be faced with the same source?
Yeah, we have other buildings too, but this is the only building that was covered up by AEC. So this is the only successful lawsuit. There were thousands of buildings. I think Professor Sun probably knows more about this. Could you make some?
No, it's cobalt 60.
Cobalt 60.
So it's the theory goes that we use cobalt 60 as a radiation source to label when they are produced this steel. So essentially that source gravity. So they melt it to become this rebar. The rebar has been used in almost 1,000 buildings, including some kindergarten. So that was very difficult task for us to sort out. So in that time, we even thought of that time some kind of remote sensing cars, and because they go beyond Taipei City. So it's a big cohort that unfortunately we had this case of low-level electronic exposures, and we are still following up this. So it will be a long debate on the low-level radiation system. So it's a rebar that's cobalt 60.
So I have a follow-up question. So what happened to those radiation contaminated buildings?
Oh, it's still there.
Still there.
No, there was no, because it was within a big apartment building. So it's different units, they have different levels of contamination. So it was vacant and it was lead walls, but other buildings, they're still selling noodles and benzos downstairs. You can go visit this museum. And there are school, kindergarten, and some of them are rebuilt, right?
The way the Taiwanese buildings are built is because of the earthquake. So we always have a small steel rebars on the, it's not the current one, the big rebar, it's a small one. So in each buildings, you have like a 6 to 10 in one part. So it's great, it's spreading around several places. So after this, for the heavily contaminated, we just took out, replace it, and for some they cover it, and for some you just evacuate the residents and leave it there. And there's been a lot of talk, should we purchase it, government could purchase or not. But for the kindergarten, actually, we dismantled it. So that's some of the way.
Any other questions? I think for this radiation contaminated building, this is also a very recent case in China. They put a lot of beautiful marbles. It's part of an interior decorations when they build the new houses. And those beautiful marbles come with very strong radiation, mostly radon. It's a huge case, I think, in Beijing that they test the radon level was so unhealthy. But I lost track of what happened after that. So the indoor radiation exposure is quite common. So any other questions for Dr. Lin, especially for the RCA case? All right, we're on time for the break. Do come back by 10:40? All right, 10:40, thank you.